Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
The Toronto Blue Jays offseason has slipped into that dangerous kind of calm, the sort that feels peaceful on the surface but carries a hum of electricity underneath. It is the silence before something breaks, the pause before a decisive hand is played. Across Jays Nation, there is a shared sense that while headlines may not be screaming, the franchise is very much awake, calculating, and preparing to strike. This is not an organization drifting through winter. This is a front office leaning forward in its chair, eyes narrowed, weighing futures. Right now, Toronto sits at a fascinating crossroads. Respected analysts around the league have begun to talk about the Blue Jays differently, no longer as a talented but uncertain contender, but as a team flirting with genuine American League authority. Conversations are happening quietly, deliberately, and with purpose. Negotiations, projections, internal debates, all moving in parallel. The Blue Jays are not simply watching the market unfold. They are actively shaping their place within it, and that distinction matters. Here on the Blue Jays Report, we are going to bring clarity to this moment, breaking down the very real interest in Kyle Tucker and Bo Bichette, the ripple effects those moves could create, and how recent bullpen decisions are already laying foundations for what comes next. If you are part of Jays Nation, now is a perfect time to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay connected as this story continues to unfold. What makes this off-season so compelling is not just who Toronto is linked to, but how those links are being handled. The Blue Jays remain deeply involved in free agency, even if the biggest moves have not yet crossed the finish line. League insiders continue to point to Toronto as a serious player in discussions surrounding Kyle Tucker and Bo Bichette. This is not casual curiosity or background noise. Analysts like Jeff Passan have openly stated that the Blue Jays are among the best-positioned teams in these races, and in Tucker's case, they have at times been described as a favorite. That alone tells you something about the confidence within the organization. The expectation around the league is that both of these situations are likely to reach resolution in January, which explains the measured pace we are seeing. Patience, however, should not be mistaken for hesitation. Behind the scenes, Toronto remains in constant contact with player representatives, refining proposals, adjusting structures, and carefully reading how the market is shifting. This is a front office that understands timing as a weapon. Jesse Rogers has pointed out that Toronto's chances are considered strong because Kyle Tucker is believed to prioritize long-term security, something the Blue Jays are both willing and able to provide. Rumors have even circulated suggesting figures north of $340 million, with Toronto offering a particularly attractive blend of contract length and average annual value. Inside the organization, the mood is one of cautious optimism. Nobody is celebrating early, but nobody is panicking either. That balance is important. When betting odds begin assigning the Blue Jays roughly a 36% chance of landing Tucker, it sends a clear signal that this pursuit is real, not theoretical. Some analysts have even dared to explore the idea, however rare, that Toronto could land both Tucker and Bichette in the same offseason. It sounds almost unbelievable, but the fact that it is being discussed at all speaks volumes. If such a scenario were to materialize, it would instantly recalibrate the American League landscape. The Blue Jays would not just be competitive. They would be feared. A lineup fortified with that level of star power changes everything. Opposing pitchers would no longer circle Toronto as a manageable challenge. Game planning would shift. Pressure would mount. October would feel less like a distant hope and more like an expectation. Yet what is perhaps most impressive is the way the front office is navigating these waters. There is no sense of recklessness. No desperation. This is not a franchise chasing headlines for the sake of optics. The goal is not just to win now, but to sustain relevance, power, and belief for years to come. For fans, that creates a familiar but intoxicating tension. When the move finally comes, it may be big enough to rewrite the franchise's immediate future. There is, however, a deeper strategic layer beneath these rumors that often goes unnoticed. The Blue Jays are not merely waiting to see what the market decides. They are testing themselves. By maintaining active conversations around both Kyle Tucker and Bo Bichette simultaneously, the front office is effectively running multiple simulations of the future. This is not a binary choice yet. It is an exploration of financial flexibility, roster balance, and competitive timing. Every potential outcome is being weighed against the others. This approach explains why Toronto has resisted the urge to rush. A signing of this magnitude does not just alter the lineup card. It reshapes internal hierarchies, influences future extension talks, and sends a message to every player in the clubhouse about the direction of the project. When Jeff Passan mentions the remote possibility of landing both players, what sits beneath that headline is not bravado, but structure. Only organizations confident in their foundation can afford to play at this level without committing too early. The Blue Jays are not reacting emotionally to the market. They are attempting to control it. That is the subtle but crucial difference between a team that hopes to contend and one that believes it can dominate. If you appreciate this kind of behind-the-scenes insight, now is another good moment to like the video and subscribe to the Blue Jays Report, because these decisions will define Toronto's next era. While the biggest names remain in a holding pattern, the Blue Jays have not been idle. Smaller, concrete moves have already begun to shape the roster, and none illustrate this better than the signing of Tyler Rogers. After missing out on Robert Suarez, Toronto pivoted swiftly, executing what was internally viewed as a calculated alternative rather than a consolation prize. Rogers was brought in to stabilize a bullpen that had been identified as a priority the moment the season ended. It is not a move that dominates headlines, but it is exactly the kind of decision that reflects preparation and market awareness. The structure of Rogers' contract is particularly telling. There is a 2029 option worth $12 million that will automatically vest if certain usage thresholds are met, either through limited combined appearances across 2027 and 2028 or a heavy workload in 2028 alone. In practical terms, this creates a very realistic scenario of a 4-year deal approaching $48 million. That is a significant investment for a reliever, but it underscores how highly the organization values bullpen depth and reliability over the grind of a full season. This is a team that has learned hard lessons about October baseball. Of course, every addition creates consequences. With Rogers joining the fold, a spot must be cleared on the 40-man roster. That reality naturally opens the door to trade discussions. Names like Nathan Lukes and Joey Loperfido have begun to surface, not because the club lacks faith in them, but because roster construction demands difficult choices. These are the quiet adjustments that make larger ambitions possible. Fans may not notice them immediately, but they are essential pieces of the puzzle. Despite these bullpen moves, the internal message remains consistent. The Blue Jays still need offensive impact. A true difference-making bat is the priority, the missing ingredient that could elevate this team from strong to special. In that context, recent comments from Dylan Cease also raised eyebrows. The pitcher spoke positively about the possibility of joining Toronto, highlighting the coaching staff and expressing confidence that they could help refine his biomechanics. Moments like this reinforce a growing perception around the league. Toronto is no longer just a competitive destination. It is a place where players believe they can improve, evolve, and win. This offseason, then, is not about noise. It is about construction. Quiet, deliberate, meaningful construction. Between the patience shown in blockbuster negotiations and the precision of the moves already completed, the Blue Jays are executing a clear plan. Interest in players like Kyle Tucker and Bo Bichette signals ambition that goes far beyond marginal upgrades. At the same time, additions like Tyler Rogers show that no area of the roster is being neglected. Everything is being considered. Nothing is impulsive. For Jays Nation, the feeling is a mixture of anticipation and trust. The next step could be the most important one. If the stars arrive, Toronto's ceiling rises immediately. If they do not, the foundation being built still points towards sustained competitiveness. This balance between expectation and discipline is where successful off-seasons are defined. Stay locked in with the Blue Jays Report, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts below, because the next announcement could change everything.